Hey guys, welcome to another video. Today we're working on this Craftsman. It's an older unit. I think it's in the late 90s anyways, but she's got some options. I like options. There's this particular unit. You can see it's got a bagger on the back. It's a 2-bucket version. Very nice. They're hard buckets. You lift the lid, just slide them out, dump them, slide them back in. It's a nice setup actually. It does have a deck. It's just not in video here. It's outside. She's got a snow blade. Remote handle to drop it and to lift it. And there's a lever on it that you squeeze the lever and you can push and pull it and it gives you your tilt. So some people like them. Some people find that they're useful. I personally have not found that they're that useful. They don't push very heavy. Usually a lawn tractor doesn't have much traction in the snow. Luckily, this unit here, when I bought it, it came with tire chains, so that helps. But typically, you also need weights on the back tires. It's a plastic covered concrete weight or something. You know, it's 2 great big long carriage bolts that go through it, and they bolt to the rim. So I don't have the weights, but I do have the chains. I did have weights, but I gave them away because I didn't use them. She's got an LED light. That's not staying. What's under the hood? It says 17 horsepower turbo cooled. Oh, yeah, this definitely turbo cooled. It's red. Code number tells me it's a 98. 98? 98. Yes. It's all there. It's there, but it's not all attached. But it's there. It's not hemorrhaging oil. That's good. Well, it could be good. Could mean that there's no oil in it. Oh, there's oil in it. Oh, it's thick. Oh, yeah. Thick with gas, too. We're going to be getting in that carburetor. So, I know it's hard to start. It doesn't want to start. It's like it's got a dead battery, even though the battery's full. And with a booster pack on it, still cranks like and stops. So we're going to definitely be pulling the valve cover off, setting the valves, and we're going to be pulling that flywheel off. We're going to check that key, make sure it hasn't sheared. So yeah, that's where we're at. Like I said, the deck is outside. I haven't really looked at it yet. There's no belt on it. I'll have to get a belt. I haven't even looked at the blades. I don't even know if there's any on it, but it's a complete package. It's the whole deal. So I see over there my coffee maker is about 2/3 full. I'm gonna pour myself a coffee when that's done, and then I'll jump into the video. All right, so what I've done so far is removed all this stuff. I took the bagger off. I took the blade off. That was just a couple of pins, a couple of cotter pins, and slide pins came right out. Everything fell to the floor. Might be a little tricky to get it back in and everything lined up, but they're removable for a reason. You're not going to ride around in the summertime with a snow blade on, so they're a quick disconnect. Anyways, took the hood off so we can get in there. I want to set the valves. First thing I'm going to do is set the valves because nobody ever does it. It is maintenance. It's regular maintenance. You have to do it on these things. Kohlers have some Kohlers. I shouldn't generalize too much, but some Kohlers have hydraulic lifters. They don't need to be adjusted. There's no adjustment for them. These ones are adjustable and you have to adjust them. They wear. And it's got to be done with the engine cold. So it's cold. It's very cold. It's very cold outside today. I came in the shop this morning before I turned the furnace on and I looked at the digital thermometer, and it didn't give me a reading. It just said low. That's cold. Turned the ultrasonic cleaner on a long time ago. Get the heater going, get that warmed up, and it's been a while and it's still not warm yet. So anyways, got some 3/8 bolts here we're going to pop off, but I'm going to get a rag underneath it first. I'll get you zoomed in a sec. Just going to set this underneath there to catch most of the oil because it comes out. So I'm not going to get into too much detail here because I've got 75 gajillion other videos doing this. So we'll get you a little closer, see what I'm doing. Let's get our little impact gun, 3/8 socket. Might even have a blown head gasket. I don't know. I don't know. Well, super clean in there. Somebody has definitely been in here before because there's a JB Weld. Oh, good grief. That's about 3.5 miles too much clearance. And the rocker's not on center. Somebody has JB welded the adjuster. About 75 miles too much clearance in that one too. It's supposed to be about 4 thou. It's got about 4 inches. What I'm doing now is I'm looking down. Just looking down the push rod itself. It goes all the way down. The lifters are way down in here, so the push rods are quite long. But I'm looking down the push rod down to the lifter. That one looks good. This one looks like a C. Whoop, push rod's bent. We got a bent push rod here. That's why the clearance is 75 miles out of spec. Why this is JB welded, I don't know. But there's all kinds of wrong. It's all wrong. There's a nut and a lock washer. Huh? Well, now I can say I've seen it all. That's terrible. Terrible, terrible. I gotta get you guys in here and show you this. This is a mess. Unfortunately, I do not have any good quality used parts to put in this. I'm gonna need a push rod. Now the exhaust push rod is steel, the intake push rod is aluminum. Little valve lash caps on the valves are there. Sometimes they fall out and you get miles of valve lash. But I'm gonna have to see what's going on in here. I'm gonna have to order an adjusting nut. Dude said this thing was running when I bought it. Well, it did run, but it wouldn't start. Won't start, he says. Okay. Yeah, the top push rod's straight, bottom one is not. All right, so let's get that out of there. Get our little Torx. Is that the right one? Yeah. So on these, this little Torx screw in the middle is the lock, and you adjust it turning the outside nut. On many other engines, the outside nut is the lock and the center is your adjustment, but not the case in this one. So let's get this off of here. That's probably enough. I'm just gonna turn it anyways. Ready? These push rods are almost as long as Harley push rods. It's like a little hula dance there. A little grass skirt on it, and anyways, so that's severe. And we've got some severe wear. Let me see if I can get a zoom in on that. It's hard with the camera. There we go. That area right there is wear. Definitely needs a push rod. So what I'm going to do is there's a little cap here. See it? This little cap sits on top of the valve stem. I'm going to take it off now so I don't lose it. And I'm just going to set it to the side just for safekeeping because I don't want it to fall off and get lost in somewhere. But this here, I'm not sure. Get you zoomed in a little further maybe. camera will focus for us. Come on. So this set screw, or the lock, is replaced with JB Weld on this. I'm gonna have to chip that off with a screwdriver or something. I don't see if I can get it pried off of there. I'm gonna need my safety glasses to do this. Well, this project is kind of stalled until I get parts, so because I don't want to do too much of anything to this unit without making sure it runs. I mean, yeah, I can put another engine in it. I've done it before, but I gotta wait till I come across a garbage tractor with a good engine. Well, it's turning. Maybe I'm gonna turn it out with pliers. I don't know. Maybe. I got the whole mess turning now. So I'll definitely need an adjuster nut and a lock, a little Torx lock. Wait till you see this. I'm gonna get this thing all back together. I know it, and the other head gasket will be bad. So I'm gonna do a cylinder leak down test before I put too much further work into it. Okay, so I want to see what happened. Let's get that rocker off of there. Rocker is any good? Yeah, rockers still work. Take this little cap off here too. Sometimes they fall off, sometimes you gotta fight to get them off. But it's off and off to the side, so safekeeping. Alright, I'll pull them both off here and I'll show you what I'm looking at. That there is what it's supposed to look like. This rounded part is the fulcrum that the rocker arm rocks on. And in this corner, we have a broken off piece of one of these. And instead of a fulcrum down here, he, or whoever, just said a lock washer will do. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Push rod, that's nice and straight. You can check push rod flatness with a piece of glass. You drop it on the piece of glass and just roll it. But this one's straight. My laser beam eyeballs say it's straight. So, nice thing is now that both the rockers are off, the valves are both closed, absolutely, unless they're bent. Now it's super easy to do a leak down test. So you pull the spark plug out. I'll show you how to do it. I'm gonna do it. I'll video it. But with both the valves closed like this, you don't need to worry about where the cylinder is and all the other stuff for top dead center and everything. The valves are closed, doesn't matter where the piston is. So you pressurize the cylinder and listen for leaks. It's gonna come out either the head gasket, the intake valve, the exhaust valve, or it's gonna pressurize the crankcase. That'll tell you that you've got typically worn bore and rings, but possibly a cracked piston. Rare, but there's a few possibilities. But typically what you're going to hear is you're going to hear your air leaking out of the intake, up through the carburetor, or out the exhaust. Or into the crankcases. You see the crankcase leak when and everything's worn out. Okay, get you backed out. Well, I gotta say, that's the first time I've seen that. First time I've seen that. I'm gonna need to order parts. What a mess. Yeah. This one can, that one can go back there so we don't lose it. JB Weld. What are they thinking? There isn't even a set screw in it. They just JB welded it, like to the stud. Whatever works. All right, since we're right here, we're gonna do the leak down test. Get our tester. Get that spark plugger out of there. 5/8. Not even tight. Finger tight, maybe. What are you going to tell us? Whew. Full of gas. It's a Champion. It's the right one for it. RC12YC. That's the right plug for it, but that one ain't going back in. Let's have an eyeball down in there. See what I can see on top of the piston. See lots of carbon. Don't have a bore scope. Don't need a bore scope right now. But I'm just looking to see if I can see anything major down there. If a valve whacked the piston or something, but I'm not seeing any marks, any evidence of that. So let's thread our leak down tester in there. Now to do this, you don't actually need a leak down tester with the gauges and all the fancy setup like this. This will tell you a percentage of leakage. Because there's a set point here. Let's get you a little closer. There's a set point here. So this gauge knows how much pressure is going to this gauge. For example, if it's putting, just for numbers, let's say 100 PSI out, if this gauge, because the leakage is only seeing 40 PSI, it means this gauge will run back to 60, meaning it's got 60% leakage. We can do the same thing without this part of the gauge. If you just plug an air line on here from your compressor, the air will still go where it's going to leak. I just happen to use this one because this is not the same air line fitting as I use in my compressor. It is what it is. Let's grab that air line. Let's see what happens. Just letting the gauge stabilize a little. 55% leakage. That's a lot. 10% is 10-15% is normal-ish for an engine with wear, but 55%, that's high. I can hear it in here. In the crankcase. So, crankcase. It's going to be rings, the bore, the piston. Hang on, I'm losing my air pressure here. Compressor wasn't on. There we go. So back to what I was saying. Pressurizing crankcase is going to be the rings, the bore, cracking the piston, very rare. These two are likely. On this engine, not a flathead. On an overhead valve engine, especially these Briggs, they're notorious for the head gaskets leaking. And what it does is it leaks between the piston and the push rod galley. And that's what I'm hearing. See if you can hear the difference. If you can hear that noise changing, the tone, it's telling me it's leaking in here. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shove a little hose down inside here because they usually blow, like I said, between the piston and the intake valley. I'm going to shove a little hose in here, stick the other end in my ear, and I'm going to hear if I can hear air about where the head gasket is. So I know I'm rambling. Just do it, they say. Just do it. Stop talking and show us. So your head gasket should be roughly this area. Let's get you zoomed in a little closer. Good enough. So the head gasket surface is roughly here. The head goes on this way. So I'm going to stick a hose down inside here, roughly to this depth, and see if I could hear air coming out of there. The hose is too big. This one might do it. It's hard to tell. Oh yeah, there's some. Yeah, I can hear a little bit coming from the head gasket, so that's all it takes. Let's get that longer hose back in there. I'm going to go a little deeper into the engine to hear if I can hear it coming in from down on the lifters. Nope, not hearing it from in there. It's out here farther. Head gasket. Well, there's all kinds of wrong with this one. I stock the head gaskets. 17 horse is the more common one. There's another one that's 14 horse that it's not so common. I think 15, 16, 17, those are all take the same head gasket, and the smaller ones is a different number. Project is stalled. Still got to do the carb and everything to get it to run, so I'm going to carry on with that anyways. I'll pull the carb off and get that cleaned out. Ultrasonic cleaner. Still going to pull the crank flywheel off, check the key. So, yeah. Well, you roll the dice. I didn't pay much for this unit, so I'm not disappointed. It's a resale unit, so I have to put money into it to resell it. No big deal. Head gasket is cheap. These parts are not overly expensive. I ain't afraid to admit when I don't know something, but I don't know why one push rod is steel and one push rod is aluminum. It could be that the aluminum one is designed like on purpose to be weak. So if something happens, the push rod bends before it breaks anything else. I don't know the theory behind it, but I know that the aluminum ones are the intakes and they bend. If you know the theory behind that, why one is aluminum, post it down in the comments down below. Be interested to know that. I haven't researched it either. I've never looked it up, but okay. Let me figure out a course of action and I'll fire the camera back up. There's been a development. Jumped online to my manuals folder online because I keep everything, just put everything I work on, I find and download a manual for, and I save it by model number, part number, serial number, whatever it has. That way I have it for future reference if that machine comes back, which is handy information. Gives me parts lists, all the specs, service specs, and all that stuff. So I called I checked my two local suppliers that are, well, not local, my two suppliers that I typically use. They don't have the parts that I need. I'm going to get them direct from Briggs. So I called a local dealer that I deal with for John Deere parts and gave him a couple of part numbers, and he said, well, I have the push rod in stock. He goes, I don't have the adjuster though. It'll be about a week to get it. I said, okay, go ahead, order them up, and I'll wait the week, no problem, I'll pick them up. Just give me a call when they're in. So no problem there, we got them ordered up. But something was tickling right at the back of my brain. I walked out to the shed. Look what I got in stock. One used adjuster and one good used push rod. Perfectly straight, like no wear. It's going in. So we can actually tear that head gasket off. I should have checked first. I should know better. I keep all kinds of old junk, so there's no reason I wouldn't have one. But anyway, when the new parts come in, they will go back into stock and I'll use them eventually. I'm just going to thread that on there for now. We got to get the whole top of the motor off. We got to get the intake off, which has to come off anyways for us to do the carburetor clean. No oil came out. Let's get that out of the way. Yeah. Uh-huh. There's our steel push rod for the exhaust side. So what we got to do is, there's a brace here that holds the cylinder head. Goes to everything. Goes to the muffler. It's welded to the muffler, which should drop out for us. Yeah. Okay. Let's jump in. I'll get you guys zoomed in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. We'll be working all over this thing. So there's our, yep, no screws in that. Screws are overrated. Get our dipstick out. Let's get our top cover off. Yep, no screws in that either. Optional, I guess. Tractor doesn't have them, didn't come with them, so I'm just going to figure something else out. These should just be 1/4 inch bolts. Maybe. We'll get there. Let's get this off. Air cleaner's clean. That'll go back on. This fuel screen here is going to get replaced. Fuel valve works. There's lots of fuel in it. It's about 3/4 of a tank. And it's not crazy bad. It's not the freshest fuel I've ever smelt, but it's not bad, so I don't think it'll be a problem. Fuel valve's off, so we can take this off here. It'll probably dribble some. Yep, I'm in the way of you guys seeing. Get that off of there. Gotta be careful with these plastic elbows. Sometimes they get brittle with age and heat. So be careful with it. Give her a wiggle, not too much pressure sideways on it. There we go. What trickles out? Well, it's not gross gold yellow gas, so I think we'll be safe with that. It's got our anti-backfire valves disconnected. 8, 8, 3/8, 3/8. Little breather tube in the top here, crankcase breather. So the air cleaner's not full of oil, so it's telling me it's not blowing oil up into the intake, so that's a good sign. Brake pedal screechy. Okay, let's get the air, we'll get this off first, that way I can get to the rods and everything. The choke rod is right here, the governor rod's up the top. These are 7/16. Let's get this out of here. We'll use that again. I'll put the dipstick back in there so it's not dripping on me on the floor. 8 mil. Gotta hurry. The Mixed Mowers live stream is going to be on shortly. If you guys enjoy small engine stuff, have a gander at Mixed Mowers. He does a live stream on Saturdays, 1:30 local time to me. He's in the UK, so they're on a way different time. He's on his own time. Mixed Mowers, yeah, great guy. 7/16. Get that off of there. That one. I thought there was one more in these. Yep, there it is. Another 8 mil up top here. This part should come off. Uh-huh. We'll just throw that away for now. Got a couple of options here. This has to come off anyways, so we can take it all off in one unit, or we could take these two studs out and then get the carburetor off. Well, it's going to go in the ultrasonic cleaner, so I'll just take the studs off. There's a hex here and it holds the carb to the intake. That's what I'll do. Those look like 8mm as well, 5/16. Yup. There we go, carburetor's loose. So, there's a little wee spring on here, little governor damper spring. Don't want to bend it, just want to remove it. There we are. We can tilt the carburetor down, unhook that rod. The choke rod does actually, let's get this out of the way. The choke rod just actually slides out. And then you can unhook it. But yeah. It doesn't look crazy bad. It's got some grunge in it, but we'll set that to the side for now. We'll tear that down and throw it in the ultrasonic cleaner eventually. Anything in it? Yeah, some. We'll just use that to clean the floor.